I made these two character design librarians in collaboration with Midjourney's artificial intelligence. Here's my process. First, I created a general outline for who I wanted these characters to be. I then entered a prompt into Midjourney based on these ideas and collected all of the variations. In my Photoshop document, I made notes about what I liked and disliked about each variation from Midjourney. I basically just pretend I'm an art director working with multiple drawings from several artists. Now I'm making some rough sketches of my own based off of all the features that I liked from the variations. I'm trying to see what works together and what better captures the idea that I had from the beginning. For the pink librarian, I basically want her to be really into the future. She loves technology. She'd rather have an iPad than a physical book. And then the green librarian, she's really into traditional things and vintage fashion and history, and she loves a good book. So they kind of clash in terms of how they want to handle the library. And I think this needs to be shown even in their fashion. And even though the pink librarian is looking towards the future, she's pretty closed-minded about the past way of doing things, versus the green librarian. She loves history and she loves tradition, but she's open-minded to new things. Now I'm taking my rough sketches and I'm just doing a very basic color test from the colors that were in the Midjourney variations, and then I'm adding my own choices for the colors. So now I'm lightening my sketch and I'm going to collage on top of this sketch with the different images from the variations. I just basically want to have my rough sketch and then this collaged version side by side as I work on the final character design. I think the rough sketch and the collage will help me address what I'm actually looking for in these characters and the story that they will be telling. In my rough story idea, I basically imagine the pink librarian just tries to take over the place, and the green librarian is going to have to learn how to stand up for herself. So here I'm finally just doing like my final version of what I think the characters will look like. I'm trying to just go for some like really rough line work before I do some coloring. When I paint in the flat colors, I'm basically just going to clean up the shape of the characters, and then I'm going to do the cleanup line art on top of the rough sketch with the paint. One of my favorite things to do when I start to paint in the flat colors is to make my rough drawing or my line art into a different blending mode, and it's usually overlay or multiply. I usually leave that rough line art in overlay or multiply while I start to add in the cleaned up color or the cleaned up line art. I like to do this because it lets me still make changes to my design if I want to, and I feel like it's not super strict compared to if I just went directly into clean line art, or if I just tried to make my color shapes with the line art in front of it without really being able to see through it. So while I was painting this, I didn't really know if I wanted to make her look like a 3D model or go for flat colors. So I looked at some of my favorite character designers that are currently in the industry, and I saw that a lot of them still do very flat colors with very basic shading. So I started to go for like more intricate shading, and then I changed my mind because I'm still working pretty loosely and went back to having more of a flat shading style. You can see while I'm working, I start to just clean up whatever I feel no longer is helping me and is actually just getting in my way. Because I just want to see what I'm doing at all times, and everything that's on there either needs to help you or it should no longer be there. At least that's my opinion. I feel like the green librarian is a bit of a people pleaser, so I want the pink librarian kind of trying to seek her approval. At least that's what she's going to be doing in my story if I ever make it happen. It would start out with the pink librarian being new and just making just dramatic changes. And at first the green librarian goes along with it because she wants the newcomer to be happy. I kind of feel like I'm a mix of these two characters because I'm a bit of a people pleaser, but I also want to get things done right. And if I can make changes in a place where I'm at, I will. But I'm also open-minded to other people's opinions, and I think that's something that's pretty important. So really these two characters are kind of just like the battle that I have within me of like loving new things, but also loving the past and tradition and wanting to make both of those ideas or ways of being work together. Because you can't have a future without a past, and you can't have a past without a future. I want to take this way of thinking into my approach in using artificial intelligence in my art. I want to use it as a collaborator and not just completely rely on it in any future creative ideas I may have. This is something I think that's so important for any artist that might use this tool. Still rely on tradition and the past and the rules that work while trying to explore the future and seeing how this can become part of your process. We want to get ahead of the game in new technology and be able to use it for all its worth and its power, but we can't forget what's worked before and the history of the past. And in many ways, I think Midjourney does this because you have to know the past and you have to know art terminology to be able to effectively use it. And you even need to know a lot about film and books and literature and how to write. So this new technology really is taking the past and bringing it into the future. So you can see here I'm still working with the color, and I've gone along cleaning it up while I've also cleaned up the line art. I'm adding in some very flat shading. I'm not going to really worry about light direction too much. I'm just kind of just going what I think looks good and feels good for these two characters. So these two ladies are basically done, and I'm going to do two more things with Midjourney. I'm going to create a textured background just by typing like oil paint, gradient, texture, pink background or green background. And then I'm also going to make the library background. Basically, if I were working on a team, I might use Midjourney just to get like a rough idea for what I'm going for the background, and then show this to a background artist to actually develop it and make it look a lot better. So with the backgrounds I took, I've made one that's like super modern and pink, and then the other one's green, and I tried to like mix them together and just did some slight paint over so I could then place in the characters and kind of show the idea I'm going for. And I was pretty excited about doing this because then I showed it to a family member and I asked them, hey, let me know, what do you think about these characters in this background? What is this telling you? And basically they just told the idea back to me from this image, so I know it worked, and that's really exciting. So what do you think? Do you think you would use this as part of your creative process for developing your own ideas or for pitching? I am really excited to experiment with this, and I hope a lot more artists use it as part of their process, seeing it as a tool rather than as something to be afraid of. And to really learn how to use Midjourney and use it in future projects. If you're interested in seeing my future projects or how I use Midjourney, make sure to subscribe. Bye.